Hello, I'm Zach from World of Game Design, and I'm here to help you determine if One Ring Second Edition is the game for you. The goal here is to give you enough of an idea about the game, its themes, and mechanics to make a somewhat informed decision on whether or not you want to give it a go. So, what is One Ring? Publisher Free League describes it like this: the shadow is returning. Rumors of strange things happening outside the borders of civilized lands and spreading with increasing regularity, and while they are dismissed by most as fireside tales and children's stories, they sometimes reach the ears of individuals who recognize the sinister truth they hide. These are restless warriors, curious scholars, and wanderers, always eager to seek what is lost or explore what is forgotten. Ordinary people call them adventurers, and when they prevail, they hail them as heroes. But if they fail, no one will even remember their names. So, what other games is One Ring like? Well, it does have its own unique system, but in my experience, I can compare elements of that system to Dune Adventures in the Imperium by Modiphius. This game, like that one, puts a heavy focus on things that are not combat. Combat is still important, but they have raised the level of importance on things like travel, exploration, and social encounters to nearly meet that level of importance. Uh, I haven't played the original edition of One Ring, but I've been told that there's a lot of similarities in the system, even though it's had a full revision. If you are familiar with the first edition, you'll feel pretty comfy in the second. Additionally, there are elements of other Free League games here. I think Free League has its own Year Zero system, and some of those sensibilities are scattered throughout this one as well. If you like the following elements, you should play One Ring. Middle Earth. This probably goes without saying, but if you're a Tolkien nerd like me, you're going to want to play the system. Also, if you like classless character building, there's something freeing about a skill based system that foregoes classes and lets you evolve your character as you see fit without tying it down to a singular concept. The last thing that you might really enjoy is if you like games that prioritize roleplay and exploration just as much as combat. Like we talked about before, there's completely unique systems for all three pillars of play, meaning that all of them will get their time in the spotlight. If you don't like these next elements, maybe you shouldn't play One Ring. Mechanics driving story. It definitely doesn't work the other way around here. There's plenty of systems for just about everything, and you'll be rolling dice and then building the story around the result. The other thing that you may not enjoy, potentially, is heavy on theater of the mind combat. There's a fancy little stance system that determines how many creatures you take on in comparison to other members of your party. It's not quite as vague as some indie RPGs, but it definitely doesn't go so far as a grid. You're going to have to be imagining a lot of this in your mind. Alright, let's move on to our currency score. For ease of access, I'm going to give this 3 of 5 rings. You can't snag a quick start guide, at least at the moment, for a free experience, and both the starter set and the core book are pricey. They're worth it, but not everyone can afford to drop a $50 price tag on a trial run. It's also a new game, so there's not a lot of video guides or playthroughs out there for you to utilize. My expectation, though, is that this accessibility is going to improve in the next year or so, and maybe the ease of access will increase. On content, we're going to move to 4 of 5 rings. Okay, I really love this book. It reads like a Middle-earth book. You can tell that the designers have a firm grasp on the setting, and for the most part, I think they designed a system that reinforces that fantasy. The core book also has a good amount of monsters and a small adventure section. It's good value for the money. The main issue I have with it is that there's not a handy summary anywhere to help me keep track of the rule basics. I find myself hunting back and forth between the pages to find or refer to how things work. And the glossary in the back is not very robust. So, 4 or 5 rings. On the system side of things, we're going to do 3 of 5 rings here as well. I just can't throw my full weight of support behind this system. It's got its great elements, but I see the seams all too easily in between its different modes. Sometimes that's really nice, allowing you to skip to the meaningful parts of the story, but sometimes it keeps the story from flowing and instead feels like a jolting ride from one scene to the next. This is compounded by the expansive use of tables, which add great flavor but force the game to remain firmly in the realm of mechanisms instead of marinating in story. Theme. We're going to give 5 of 5 rings here. Yes, this system presentation has its flaws, but it really does capture the essence of Middle-earth. Your party is going to feel much more like a fellowship than the average D&D group, and the book is written in such a way that it evokes imagery that will feel quite familiar to the Tolkien aficionado. Finally, we have support, 3 of 5 rings here to round us out. There's no official VTT support, though I imagine Foundry is probably coming. Demiplane is also a possibility, but there's been no official announcement that I can see anywhere. I do like that they already have started to roll out additional adventures and side content, though. There's even a single-player Strider mode that's already been dropped on DriveThruRPG, and they're prepping to launch Ruins of the Lost Realm, which is another adventure expansion. Final haul. Out of 25 possible rings, the One Ring 2nd edition is going to net 18. It's just so different, so unique, that it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But with no readily available quick start, there's just not a great entry point. I think, though, that this is a game that's likely to pick up a couple more points in the next year or so as it begins to gain traction and momentum. If Middle-earth is your jam, I can't imagine you being too disappointed with this RPG, and it just might be exactly what you're looking for. If you like this video, give our channel a subscription. We have a lot of great content and different playlists all centered around getting you into more RPGs and making those games better. You can also check out our website at WOGD.com for our very own published content. Finally, we have a podcast. It's called Geeks Can't, and it features myself and a few buddies chatting about topics that came up at our gaming tables. Also, we talk about Kickstarters, RPG news, and we're interviewing creators by the dozens. Go give us a listen if podcasts are your thing. It's also recorded live each and every week on Twitch. Until then, we'll see you next time.